All right, you guys. Today I have got with me Robbie, who is an Empire Blueprint client, and he just recently hit his first $10,000 month with fitness coaching. So, Robbie, you joined Empire Blueprint back at like the beginning of December, I believe it was, end of
I think it's
November.
been about like 5 months.
Yeah, it's
What did we
about
say? Yeah.
four months since you joined in, and you've hit your first $10,000 month. Can you share a little bit about your background with fitness coaching before you started implementing the strategies and before you joined Empire Blueprint? Like, where were you with fitness coaching?
So fitness coaching all started for me when I was 17 years old. I was in high school. I had a friend who was going to the gym and he started posting on social media, and I wasn't doing that yet, but I was starting to like film videos for him and we were just working out together. And just a few months later, he got into fitness coaching and it really just sparked an interest for me. And he was able to go full time into it months later and he moved to Houston, Texas. He started building his career. I mean, it erupted super fast. And for me, it's like I already have such a passion for fitness and I figured fitness coaching would be like that gateway into being able to make this a career.
Did you always know that you weren't going to go to college? Was this kind of always the plan was to make
Yeah.
fitness coaching work?
Yeah, so I dropped out of college in my second week, I would say.
Okay,
It,
second
it
week.
was
You got
it'll
out
yeah,
early.
yeah, it was quick. Yeah, I mean I had a coaching business that was starting to grow a little bit. Yeah, so I decided to drop out of college on my second week and then I injured my back and I stopped for a full year and I jumped back into it later.
There you go. Dude, that takes
Yeah.
balls to be like just
Yeah,
2 weeks
yeah.
into school and being, you get a little bit of momentum, maybe you get a sale, you get a client, you're like, screw it, I'm going all in.
Yeah, no, literally.
I know people, it'll take them years to be able to build up that level of confidence to like quit their job or, leave school. And I think that one of the best things about getting a fitness coaching business started early is the fact that you can just jump into things and you don't have all this extra responsibility. You don't have a wife to take care of, like a kids to take care
Right.
of. A lot of people, like one of the best things that they can do when they're younger is start building their brand, building their coaching business because you're betting on yourself and there aren't a whole lot of responsibilities. So
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
capitalized on that early, which is absolutely fantastic. What were your
Yeah.
biggest challenges that you faced when trying to scale the fitness coaching business?
So my biggest issues to scale the business previously was just the fact that I lost my physique from my injuries. And I always felt like it was going to be very difficult to be able to sell coaching, if I didn't look a certain way.
And you had
And
gotten very obese during
I
that
got
time.
very obese. I was up to like 255 pounds. I've lost 75 pounds so far and still cutting down now for my competition. But that's one thing I would say was very difficult, but also just not knowing what systems to put into place to be able to scale the brand. And I didn't even know really how to build a brand at all. I was just posting mindlessly on social media, whatever I could think of. I see someone
Kind
else
of,
post something and I would just go
yeah.
and copy them and think that that's going to help me build the business.
Yeah, just kind of looking for attention, looking for views
Yeah.
and likes rather than actually building a brand, putting your personality out there and creating that one-on-one connection that's super, super important for high ticket sales, which you've been able to absolutely crush it since you've got in here. Like you're doing paid in fulls with people for $1,500, $2,000. How does it feel to go from a point where you're struggling financially, which like when you first started off, where were you and what does it feel like to now just be bringing in money every single month and being able to make it while doing something that you're incredibly passionate about?
You know what's crazy is the job that I had before, I was able to go full time into this. I was working with my mom in her business, a dog boarding facility, and my yearly salary was around 20 grand. And since I did go full time into coaching, I've made my yearly salary in just a matter of 5 months since I went full time into it. It's a
That's
pretty
so
crazy,
crazy.
dude. It's very, very crazy being able to go from making $2,000 a month to making that in a week.
100%. And I'll always remember, Robbie. I'll always remember it was right around Christmas time, like right after you joined, which is, I think it was towards the end of November, beginning of December. You texted me and you said, Brandon, we got to do something. You said, I don't have enough money to buy Christmas presents, like for my family. Like, we got to do this, man. We got to do this. We got to start making money off of this fitness coaching thing. And granted, you didn't have any problem. Like, you were able to make a couple sales, you were able to make some
Yeah.
money. You were able to pull
Yeah.
it off, and then a couple months later, you're hitting 10K months, making, your previous salary in 2 months of fitness coaching. It's pretty mind blowing. My next question for you is, what made you decide to make the decision to work with me? To like take action, to scale things, to start working on the brand? What made you think, okay, like I need help with this. I'm going to go seek out a mentor?
So I had a mentor previously, but I wasn't nearly as happy with him as I felt like I could have been. And I saw how you presented yourself on social media. I could see you're a Christian guy, you got a great physique, and as well, a very successful coaching business. So I figured going into work with you just made the most sense.
And what was the most impactful lesson or strategy that you've learned from Empire Blueprint, from me, to generate your first $10,000 per month? Is there something specific that you
Mm.
really applied together? I can think of a couple things, but I want to know what your take is.
I would say definitely just starting with like the funnels of
Mhm.
content because before it was just mindlessly posting. Now I have more of a strategy into how I post my content, that as well as consistently posting on stories more, putting out the
That's
right kind
another
of
big
stuff,
one, isn't it?
connecting with my own audience.
Yep, connecting with your audience, building that brand. And how did you apply the specific techniques that I taught you? Like, when you first came into this, what exact things have you done differently in terms of, let's say, the content posting and the business systems?
Yeah, I feel like I've gotten a lot better at being able to push content out a lot faster. I could
Yeah,
put out about 12 reels a day in just a matter of hours, really. So
gotcha.
that's what I would say on the content side of things.
I have a follow-up question for you. The feedback on the content that you've been posting, how does it differ now from when you used to kind of just post mindlessly? Are there a lot more people that are coming to you saying like, Robbie, you're changing my life? Like, is there a more of an emotional connection going on there?
Oh yeah, a lot more people are engaging with the content. People are reaching out to me, they're messaging me, they're telling me like, "Man, this is crazy. You've inspired me to go on a fat loss journey." And typically whenever somebody says something like that, it kind of opens up a door for me to reach out to them and talk to them about my coaching, which has helped me a lot because I've done that. A lot
Yep.
of people will reach out and say that.
Yeah, there you go. And that's one of the biggest differences that I see with like there can be somebody that has even hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram, but if they're not getting that kind of engagement, if they're not getting people reaching out to them saying like, you changed my life, you're changing my mentality, it's affecting everything, that means that they aren't posting the right types of content. It means that they're not building out that funnel, they're not
Right.
bringing people closer. And that's, I've just watched your content go from, good quality. Even when you started off in here, you were
Yeah.
making like good quality content, but it just wasn't bringing people in. It wasn't getting them to take that next step. It wasn't getting them super involved. And now it's almost like a cult. Like, you've built a cult on
I
TikTok,
literally
on
said that.
Instagram, and there's people that are very invested in who you are as a person. They're like, Robbie, the fitness coach who used to be bald and who used to be fat and like who broke his back. Like, you just have this absolutely insane story. And now they all resonate with you on that level. And now you get so many more people interacting with you, telling you like, oh my goodness,
Right.
dude, you've
Right.
changed my life. And that's super cool to see.
Yeah, my story has definitely helped tremendously on that side of things for just like bringing in people who resonate with me because I have a lot of different things that people can relate with.
Yeah. And how did your mindset shift during this whole process? From like where you were to where you are now, what would you say the main things mindset wise, or what has changed with your mindset the most?
I could work so much harder than I think
Good.
I can.
Good. So you can
That's
work a
what's
whole
changed.
lot harder now.
Yeah,
That's
even now I could still say I could work way harder.
to expand on this a little bit. Now that you've hit your first $10,000 month, is it showing you everything else that's possible if you continue to build this up? Because I know what it's like to
100%.
be like at the very, very beginning when you're first getting started with fitness coaching, it's a struggle. You're like, oh my goodness, I've heard about people hitting $10,000 months before, but I can't imagine really hitting it myself. It's kind of like this far off dream. But then when you get to the point where you think, oh my gosh, there's even more. It's like
Yeah.
expanding expanding the map. Is that what it's felt like for you?
Yeah, it was totally crazy to see how possible it really was to hit that mark. And the moment that I hit that mark and I sent you the message, I was like, dude, I hit $10,000. Like, this is insane. I don't even know what to think right now. But in like just after days of thinking about it and seeing my bank account, like I've never had that much money before, it completely transitioned the way that I think in terms of just how much harder I can really work. I
Yeah.
believe there's more that I could be doing.
Yeah. And also, one thing that you've probably realized is that there's a huge amount of education that comes along with like the ability to make more money. Like, don't you now, having gone through Empire Blueprint and having made this money now, you almost look back on your previous self and think, I was so uneducated back then.
Oh, dude, definitely. I knew nothing. Like now looking back, I didn't know anything like I do compared to now.
Yeah, isn't that wild? How even just a couple months later, you can think the amount of stuff that I've learned has ultimately led to making more money. It's what I have
100%.
learned that is making that difference. And what I've learned is changing around my content. It's building out these funnels. It's understanding how social media works. So cool to kind of watch you go through all that stuff step by step. Where were the biggest obstacles? Like what were the biggest things where you had issues with? I remember when you first came to me, there were a couple different things. I'll see if you can remember what you said to me.
I could say definitely just doubt that it would even work. I had a full six
Big one.
weeks of no clients. None. And you
Yep.
remember this.
Yep. The
I got
lead.
to a point, yeah, I had only $50 to my bank account at one point. I was
Yep.
freaking out. And just suddenly, days later, I was able to close an $1,800 sale, pay in full. And then after that, I was starting to increase my prices, and now I'm charging people at 2,500 for 3 months. And
Yeah.
it's like the sales have just gotten easier and easier over time.
Isn't that crazy how it creates a domino effect? And when you start building up momentum, then you get this courage. The passion starts to overflow on your sales
Yeah.
calls, and you get on a hot streak and you start closing one after the other. What were the biggest problems that you had on sales calls before, and how have you improved your overall sales ability?
Before, I wasn't really like diagnosing the problem. I was just gathering information. That's really all my sales calls were before, and that's why I was never making a sale. I wasn't really figuring out what my prospect's problem was so I could actually fix it and then be able to close a sale like that. I
You're
wasn't getting into their emotions, their emotional side either.
Exactly. And that's one thing that you're doing to ultimately benefit them. Like they tell you
Yeah.
where they want to go, but it's your job to figure out why they want to go there. You've got to go deep in on that. I know your sales calls have gotten like longer as time goes on. Now you're
They
spending
they used to be
45
15
minutes.
minutes.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
used to be 15 minutes. Now you're spending 45 minutes, an hour on these sales calls with people, and you're closing them on multi-thousand-dollar packages because you're actually digging into those problems and you're establishing the value of your coaching, and you're linking their problems that they're going into with the solution, that is your coaching. That's been super cool to watch. I would say you have grown exponentially as a salesman, like since you've been
Oh,
inside. It's
100%.
it's been very, very cool to watch. So that's a really, really big factor for sure. And what role has consistency played in your success?
Everything. Consistency has been everything. I think that's one of the biggest problems with why people don't succeed is because they're not consistent.
Yeah.
You have to be consistent every single day.
The
You have to
the
treat it like it's a
transformation
full-time
that
job
you
already.
had, 250 pounds, you're weighing 250 pounds, and now you have like an 8 pack. Like now you look good. People look at you and they say, man, this guy's got a really good physique, and you're good at marketing it at the same time you're putting yourself out there. That combining with your personality. How did you stay motivated and focused during the process? Because the biggest problem that I'm seeing with personal trainers and coaches when they're first getting into this is they just get down on themselves, man. Because one of the beautiful things about creating a brand is the fact that you do get to sell your own product, and you get to sell your own brand, and you get to put work almost into yourself, and then it pays off through selling your coaching. But at the same time, when people get rejected, they tend to fall into despair. They get really,
Right.
really down because people aren't just rejecting your product. It feels like they're rejecting you. So how have you overcome that?
I just needed to make it happen. This was ultimately the dream for me. The dream was to be full-time in fitness. It's not necessarily just fitness coaching. It's just like, this is what I know best, working out, going to the gym, and I need it to be my career. And the thing that I love about being a fitness coach overall, though, is that I am changing people's lives. I'm able to help them. And I don't find fulfillment working a job where I don't find that fulfillment of helping others. Ultimately, getting into fitness coaching allows me to be able to help people, and that's a fulfilling for me. And as well as I get to be in the fitness industry full time.
Yep, 100%. So it creates a feedback loop where once you change
Exactly.
one person's life, like it motivates you to keep going. What was the darkest moment like that you've had? Was it the moment when you came to me and you said, Brandon, like I don't have the money to pay for Christmas gifts for my family, you know, you have like 50 bucks to your name? Was that ultimately what just sort of lit a fire under you? Or there were thoughts running through your head like, dude, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I shouldn't have done this. Like, were those thoughts there at all? Or was it just this like unconditional drive to like become successful with this?
Dude, the most difficult time that I had was whenever I was working in my mom's business. I was working 40 hours a week plus, along with trying to grow a fitness coaching business for
Mm,
another 30 weeks plus. And I was going to the gym, training consistently, trying to lose fat, build muscle, look like my very best. So I actually look like somebody who's worth buying into for coaching, just making no progress for the longest time. I couldn't even sell coaching for $100 a month
yep.
at one point. So that
All
was
good, man.
definitely the most darkest time of my
Yeah.
life right there.
100%. And what do your parents think now? Like, what did your parents think when you told them, like, mom, dad, I'm dropping out of school to do fitness coaching? And then have you told them that you like hit your first $10,000 month? What was
Yeah.
their
So, I mean, just initially dropping out of college, my mom was pretty pissed off because I just came home one day and I told her, I was like, hey, I sold coaching for $400 today and I dropped out of college. And she was like, are you joking me? She was pretty pissed off. But I mean, after that, what didn't make any sales for an entire 2 years or so. And then once I hit my 10K month, though, 3 years later, she was extremely proud, gave me a hug, could not believe it, made more money than my parents in a
That
month.
is so
That made them
crazy.
extremely proud. So,
Oh my goodness, dude. What an awesome story, dude. Well, final thoughts. How would you describe your overall experience working with me with Empire Blueprints? And what advice would you give others considering like the approach that I've taught you in terms of fitness coaching?
so working with you has been a fantastic experience. It has allowed me to learn several different things in regard to actually just getting into coaching in general. So I could strongly recommend anybody to go about working with you just for those reasons. Not only just in the aspect of social media have you helped, but you've helped in the aspect of just starting a coaching business and growing a coaching business.
Gotcha. In your current situation, would you say that it was difficult for you in the beginning to realize that like continuing to invest in your education was going to be an incredibly important aspect, even though you were dropping out of college? You know, people drop out of college and they're like, oh, yeah, now I don't really have to focus on learning. But and then you realize, like, oh, there's still a whole lot that I have to learn with this specific business that's going to like change my life. Was it difficult for you to realize I'm going to have to pay for coaches, I'm going to have to pay for mentors to
Yes.
continue to learn and continue to get better?
I would not invest into a coach for so long and made no progress. The moment that I finally invested into a mentor for the first time, my business started growing exponentially. Now, it took me a long time to realize that, a very long time. And I can say for anybody who wants to get into coaching, for online coaching, you should be investing into a mentor.
Yep.
Definitely.
And that's one thing that I wish that I have figured out earlier too. Is like I just wish I would have realized like, hey, pay for your education. Go find somebody that's already doing, you know, what you want to be doing. Ask them how they did it. Pay them for their time. It's probably going to be expensive. If the time isn't expensive, then they haven't done what they say that they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like if they have time
Right. Right.
mentor you and they're saying that they've built a successful fitness coaching business and that they're making a lot of money, but then you get access to them for like 500 bucks or something like that, that doesn't really compute. It's like this person's time is supposed to be worth a lot of money. If they know a lot of stuff, their time is going to be worth a lot of money as well. So continuing to invest in your education, turning yourself into a weapon, like on the sales side of things, with charisma, with content, with understanding how social media works, with the funnel funnel building, with productizing the coaching, all of that stuff, just so incredibly important. It's been great to watch you be able to make that advancement ever since
I
you joined
appreciate it.
Empire Blueprint. So congratulations on your first 10K month, Robbie. It's great to have you in here, dude. I really appreciate your feedback and all the calls. You do a really good job. You interact with all the other coaches. You help them out when they're down. You are just the perfect example that these younger guys need when they're coming into something like Empire Blueprint, looking to do exactly what you're doing, what I'm doing. They need to see somebody that has gone from like 250 pounds obese, like not going anywhere, not making any money, to where you're at right now. That is the type of transformation that they need to see. And I think for a lot of people, this is what's going to keep them going, is seeing stuff like this and understanding that if you put the work in, it can pay off and it can change your whole life. So thank you very much for this interview, Robbie. It was great having
Thank
you on,
you.
man. And I'll stay in touch and hopefully see you on the next Empire Blueprint call.
Sounds good,
Awesome,
man.
man. Great talking with you.